morning class, good morning everyone. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to put an image inside of text and how to remove background in Photoshop. Okay, so this is your activity number 3 and I have integrated this one to create your student's portfolio. Okay, so that it would be easy for you to edit every time you put a text or image in Photoshop, you need to create a new layer. So for instance, for example, I'm going to hide this portfolio. I'm going to hold down the control to select this portfolio. Hold down the control even without looking at the layers. Hold down the control on your keyboard and then click the word portfolio. Okay, so it will automatically select the layer where you type the portfolio, this one. So for example, I'm going to hide this one. We're going to have an example for this. Okay, so let us start with how to put an image inside of text in Photoshop. So I want you to create, you scroll up at the layers panel and I want you to create at the top layer here, you click here and then I want you to create a new layer. Click this one to create a new layer. You have already a new layer at the top. So for example, this is the, you can double click to rename the layer. For example, this is the image to text layer. You can name it any name you want. Okay, so for example, that one, and then you type the word portfolio. So you need to click. So in typing text, you do not need to create a new layer. So it will automatically create a new layer when you click this text tool. So you click this one and then you click at the canvas here, automatically creates a new layer. Okay, so now you can type the word, for example, portfolio. Okay, so this time you can actually click the check. So you can resize by simply pressing the Ctrl T, the shortcut key to transform. You can rotate, you can resize your text and image by pressing Ctrl T. Just make sure that the layer selected is the one you're going to resize. Okay, so you have already the resizing handles. You can point at the corner of the resizing handles and then you can see that the mouse pointer looks like diagonal double-headed arrow. So that's an indicator that you can now resize by simply dragging the resizing handle. So if you want to make a proportion text, so you hold down the shift to make a proportion, meaning it will resize the vertical and the horizontal automatically. Okay, so release your mouse and then release your keyboard. Okay, then you position here, for example, and then if you want to put image inside of text, for example in this word portfolio, you can do that here. Step first or click the check button here, so you can change the font style. So for example, we will create or we will select a text that has a bold letters. Okay, so for example this one, copper block here. Okay, for example, that's your text. You click the check. Okay, so you can press the arrow left or click first the move tool so that you can press the arrow left to move without using your mouse to drag. Arrow down since move tool is active. Okay, so now let us put an image inside of this portfolio text. So select the image you want to put by simply clicking here at your file explorer here and then select. If you have already downloaded the picture, or for example this picture, you can drag it to your canvas. Here, drag, do not release, point at PS or Photoshop, then point at your canvas and then release. Okay, so you have already the picture. So you're going to resize the picture. You can resize actually the picture to fit on your text. So for example, this text I want, for example, you're going to position this one here. Then you make sure that all of the image can overlap the text. So here, let's resize. Okay, so then you click the check. Okay, this time you have already overlapped the image and the text below. So to put an image inside of text, you just simply point here at the layers palette between the layer of landscape and image to text here. So this line, I want you to right click here with this line. You make sure that you point it on this line, the line between the two image and text. You right click this one. Then if you can see this clipping mask, I want you to left click this one to put the image inside of text. So you click this one. Okay, so it will already put the image inside of text. So you you create, or meaning you select your own image and you put it inside of text. So this is what I'm going to check with this activity. And you can also move this one by simply you make sure that the move tool is active so that you can move your image inside of text if you want. You can also still press Ctrl T to resize the image. You can still resize the image inside of, so you can reposition the image you want to put. Okay, so for example, you like that one, and then you can click the check button to accept. Okay, that's how to put an image inside of text. So this time, you can now actually customize your text. You can right click here because this is your text. Blending options, so you can customize this one by putting outer glow or inner glow or stroke. Okay, so for instance, you want to put an outer glow here. Okay, so for example, you choose an outer glow here, you click on the word outer glow and then select the color of the glow. So for example, you like white here, then you click OK, and then you can change the blend mode to normal. Okay, then you can now drag the spread. You can move this one by simply pointing, move this window by simply pointing on the layer style, and then you can spread, you can change the spread, and then you can also change the size of the spread. Okay, so if you cannot actually see what's the effect on the text, you can, for example, you want to choose the red. See, it changes to, you can change the color, whatever color you want with your glow. Okay, so adjust the size of the glow you want. Okay, so for instance, you are satisfied with that, you can also adjust the noise. Okay, so you can drag this one. You can see it will actually change the texture of the glow. Okay, so then you click OK. So let us zoom this one so that you can view what's happening when you apply the texture glows. Okay, so fit on screen. You can still add another effects blend by going to blending mode, and if you want to put a stroke, you can click this one, and then the stroke is black here. You can adjust the stroke if you want. You can also change the color of the stroke here. Okay, for example, you are satisfied with that. For example, I want to type 5 only, and then you click OK. So that's how to put an image inside of text in Photoshop. Okay, so this time you this is actually your actual output for activity number 3. You write your name here, or I mean you type your name. Okay, so this time you're going to put your picture with your portfolio so that I can easily memorize your faces and names. Okay, so look for your picture. So this time I'm going to discuss how to remove background in Photoshop. Okay, so look for the picture you want to put in your portfolio. Okay, so for example, this one, you drag it to your canvas, the same, and then point here, then release. Okay, for example, this is the picture you want to put on the canvas. You can resize by simply, do not forget to hold down the shift so that it will retain the proportion of the picture. Dili mo tambok, dili mo niwang when you hold down the shift key on the keyboard. So you press enter, for example. So to remove the background here, you can with this layer, this is the layer of the picture. So to remove the background, you can right click on the name of the layer, look for rasterize layer. So when we rasterize the layer, it will actually remove this object thumbnail so that we can edit. So what will happen when we rasterize? We can remove this smart object thumbnail. Right click, then rasterize layer. See, there are no smart object thumbnail. So this time you can now edit the picture. You can remove. Okay? So, for example, move the background after you rasterize the layer. Then, you can actually use the pen tool. Okay? So, pressing the layer, you can use actually the pen tool, which is actually the best way for me to remove background. So, there are many ways actually to remove background. You can use the eraser, you can use this magic wand and quick selection tool. You can use this one to remove background. But the best way actually is to use the pen tool. Okay, so let us try the eraser. Here is the eraser. You right click here and then click the eraser tool. So and point here, and then you make sure that the layer you have selected is your picture, the active layer. This time I am pressing actually the caps lock to change the center of my cursor. So this time, increase the size of my brush. I'm going to press curly brace. Press. Okay, you notice here it increases the size of the brush. Okay, so when curly brace decreases the size of the eraser. So for instance, I'm going to increase the size of the eraser, and you can actually erase like that. Okay, so that's how to use the eraser. Okay, so another eraser is the soft eraser here, this one. You can also use this one to remove background. So just simply double click. So the difference actually is the edges are soft when you brush, soft edges. Okay, so that's one way of removing background, but the best way for me is to use the tool. Okay, so this time I'm going to show you how to use the best way to remove background. I'm going to press Ctrl plus to zoom in. Ctrl plus. Okay, hold down the space bar, then drag up. Okay, so we're going to remove background using the pen tool. Okay, so right click on the pen tool, then click pen. Okay, so you make sure here that you have selected the path at the options bar of the pen. So this time you can now Ctrl plus, you can actually zoom so that you can see the edges of your picture. So for example, you're going to start here, you click here and then select another point. For example, here, click, do not release your mouse, and then drag to position the path on the edges of the image. That one you can release. The next point here is you can hold down the Alt and then press this node so that you can remove the node here, so that you can follow the edges of the picture. That's Alt click. Okay, so this time here, click, do not release, and drag. Okay, so point here at the node to remove, hold down the Alt and then click to remove the node, and then next here, click and drag. To remove the node, you can Alt click. Okay, so for the ear, you start here. For another point, right click and then drag. Okay, you follow the edges, then Alt click. For example, you're going to put here, click and drag. Okay, so then Alt click to remove the node, and then here, click and drag. Alt, hold on the Alt and then click another node here. You can click actually because it's a straight path. Okay, so for example here, click and then drag. Okay, so for instance, that is your selection. So you continue on the edges of the image. So this time you can hold down your space bar to move. You can select, you encircle the portion of the image you're going to remove here. You can just simply click and click, drag, click here, click, 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 click. Okay, for example here, so meaning you're going to close the path. So any selection inside the path will be removed. So first you right click inside the path, anywhere at the inside the path, and then you left click, make selection, and then just simply click OK. Okay, so this time when you press delete, so it will actually delete the outside of the selection, the inverse. So we will not do that. So we'll click edit and then step back. So to inverse the selection so that we can delete the inside of the selection, you click select and then click inverse. Okay, so this time by pressing delete on the keyboard, it will remove the outside of the selection. Okay, so to remove the marching ants or the selection, you press Control D to deselect. Okay, this time you can now press Control minus to see if you have removed the background. Okay, so you continue doing selecting the edges to remove the background here, and then this one on the inside. Okay, so you can reposition the picture anywhere you want by simply clicking the picture and then click the move tool to move, and then you can position this one anywhere you want. Okay, so you can also move the name if it is overlap with the picture. Okay, so that's all on how to remove background and to put a text or an image inside of text in Photoshop. Thank you so much for watching.